how to stop being just another realtor in this market, how to differentiate yourself, how to stand out, whichever word you want to use. That's what we're talking about today. We do have a repeat guest here, another one of our realtors. I'm gonna go ahead and let him introduce himself, and then we'll jump right into the topics.
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Jerry with Lionsgate Realty. Find me on Jerry HCX Realtor on all social medias.
Awesome. What do you guys think is the number one reason that realtors, whether they be new or they've run through their pipeline, are getting overlooked by the public in the market that we're in right now?
I think not following leads, I guess.
No, yeah. I think that you're copying. You see people do real estate online the way you think it's supposed to be done, but you never really learn what you're supposed to do. We have a new training series coming out on YouTube, and it's going to give you the insights of everything that we're doing here at Lionsgate Realty. I'm going to put it all out there. I'm going to give you the basics and the fundamentals that you need in order to build the business that you need to, right? I don't have a title for the series yet, but it's going to be under a training playlist on YouTube. And I shot my first training schedule this morning, and when I was doing the intro, my team was advising me to say something very specific about the training that I was doing. And I had to have a conversation with the team, and I was letting them know the reason why I can't call this letter writing principles is because they're marketing principles. And it doesn't matter what you're doing in real estate, it is all marketing, and you have to follow basic marketing principles. I'm not going to speak for Nate, but I'll speak for myself. When that clicked in my head recently, right? It wasn't a while ago. Recently, as I'm trying to take my market share on social media and we're trying to grow the channel, we're trying to grow things, I started realizing that I need to apply the same marketing principles that I do in grassroots marketing as I do on social media, right? Which means you have to create dominance, right? You got to segment, target, position yourself, create authority. You have to do it. There's no other way. So you stop copying, you start positioning. All you have to do. So for me, I will say that the way that you can stand out from your average realtor is to be different than the average realtor. Don't just copy. Position yourself as authority. Set that standard, right? Use your brain. Use your market knowledge. Use your personal experiences. Be human. And that is one of the lines that I said, to be human, be short, be specific, be authentic. Let them know who you are, right? And if you're authentic, then no one else can replicate you. There's only one Nate. There's only one Vic. Mm-hmm. Only one Giovanni. Right? There may be a lot of people that want to be us, but they ain't.
Yeah. So real quick, Vic, because I've been seeing you shoot your videos and stuff, but this has been something that has been in the work for how many years?
Oh man, I would for a while. I would say on the short end 4 years. Okay. Longer, easily.
And this has stemmed from conversations and just the need that you saw of what in the market.
Oh, there's a need to have actual guidance and to cut out all the fat, right? And to just get to the meat of it and what needs to be done. I'm realizing that agents aren't being trained properly. And when they are trained properly, when they are getting hooked, there's always something coming behind that, right?
Yeah.
There's always, I wish, what would be an equivalent to the Spanish saying, no paso sin huarache, right?
No paso sin huarache, pretty much I don't.
There's always a benefit. It always benefits someone else.
Yeah.
Right. And for that, I will admit the reason why I never put my marketing out here, I say shout out to Nate, shout out to some realtors that I gave my whole marketing plan and they went and failed. I realized very quickly that even if I give you my full marketing plan, even if I teach you how to do things exactly like I do them, you're not going to have the work ethic, the tenacity, the consistency, the confidence. There's going to be a lot of things that you're lacking to show up every single day and do those things. So now I'm more confident putting my information out there without needing anything back. What I see is a need in the real estate market for guidance, for support, for somewhere to look to, right? And I will say that I am thankful that I had people in my life that I could look to get guidance from. But I don't see that in the market today. So I'm hoping that Lionsgate Realty can be a pillar in the community, a pillar in the real estate community where they can come and they can find marketing. It's okay if you guys don't join us. It's okay if you don't want to come. But I'm going to do my part to change this real estate market. That's my promise to you guys.
So so this whole thing has been a long time coming. You say that it's been about 4 years that you've been wanting to do it, right? But you should have started doing it 4 years ago, because
Yeah,
that's whenever that's what you meant.
Yeah.
You have been, or we have been looking into this way before this, because there was a need for it even 10 years ago, even 15 years ago. There was a need for it, right?
Sure.
And the thing is that I'm glad that we didn't do this, and that you didn't do this, and we didn't put this on the internet, because once COVID hit, that added another experience, another training layer of training that you got to add to it.
Yeah.
And so now you're seeing, we're on the aftermath of the pandemic, and now you're that much more skilled and that much more smarter or know more of the dynamics of what we're going into, right?
Yeah.
So right now is a perfect time to strike.
Yeah, we say all the time, I don't think you can call yourself an expert unless you've been through multiple markets, right?
Yes.
And I would say that before COVID, I had been through every single kind of market, right? I've been through a stagnant market, a slow market, a fast market, a buyer's market, seller's market. I've been through all kinds of markets, but what I have not been through is that anomaly that happened not only during COVID. When else did it happen?
The mortgage meltdown.
The mortgage meltdown, right? So now that I experienced my own mortgage meltdown, right, quote unquote, which was COVID, it's an anomaly in the market. There were, like, back in the mortgage meltdown, there was mortgage fraud. There was an anomaly in the market that caused an inflation of price and sales and things like that. COVID, same thing. There was an anomaly in the market that caused the increase of sales, which is the low interest rates and everything going up. Now that I've experienced that and I've watched people be reckless, careless, spend a lot of money, do a lot of things. You had a lot of nobodies become somebodies that became nobodies again. You watched a lot of different things happen back and forth, right? We sat on the sidelines, or I sat on the sidelines, and I got to watch and I got to experience and I studied and I prepared, right? Because I was on the tail end of a good market when I got into this business. I was in the tail end of everybody talking about the good old days and how they couldn't let those good old days go and they couldn't conform to the new norm. And that is the difference that we do here. I'm teaching you how to conform to the new norm. And not only that, I came up in the new norm. I came up after a down market when nobody was buying and nobody was selling and it was just stagnant and there was houses all over the town and the neighborhood. And literally it was, I say this in the podcast often, you get into that situation where you're talking about feng shui. I haven't heard of that since I started in real estate, but back then feng shui was a thing. Oh, it has to be facing east and it has to rise on this side and this wind has to come. And this time when I'm putting an offer in, bro, these last 10 years, I haven't heard any of that, right?
Yeah, no.
People are just trying to get into homes because there's not any options, right? But there were so many options when I got into this business that people were nitpicking crazy things. So I've been through enough markets now that I'm fully confident in what I say works, what I say is proven, what I'm saying can take you to that next level.
So this market is vast, right? And you said you had an awakening, right? That you had a realization of you know what? There's no leaders. I'm going to be that leader.
Sure.
Right. And so this is something that we had already been doing. We've already been leaders in our market, but in specific markets, and now what we're trying to do is take over the entire Houston market, which is huge. And it comes with the experience. I tell people this and people look at us like we're, what do you say it? Like we think too much of ourselves, or like we're grandstanding, or we're whatever, right?
Yeah.
And it's not. I feel that Vic dominated a market in Conroe. I dominated a market in Magnolia. We've shown that we can dominate smaller markets. I think the biggest market that we've dominated was McAllen. And we went there and we have literally changed the landscape in there. We've changed the way people think. We've changed the way people do business.
Yeah.
Our real estate company, a small, right now where we're up to 7, 8 warriors down there, they are looked at as leaders down there because they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They have they are sales professionals. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to open up our office in downtown, which should be the next month. And we're going to dominate Houston. We're going to show everybody what we've been doing and and right now is the time to start looking into the training that Vic has to offer. That's something that we have always talked about. You talk about Champion School of Real Estate, right? You talk about all these schools, right? They're not really schools. They're not teaching you how to do real estate. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to put a school together to teach you how to do real estate the right way. And if you don't want to join us, we're still going to school you up so that you can learn how to do business, and we don't have to have our realtors don't have to have such a hard time doing business in this market.
Yeah. I think we've done a lot of things before it was time. One of the most widespread examples, and I will tell Nate, it sounds crazy to say that I invented this. It does. But and I'm not going to go as far as saying that. But before COVID, even a couple years ago, we were looking at the market, and what did I want to do, Nate? I wanted to create excitement at our open houses. And we sat down and we're brainstorming. And one of the things that I implemented way before COVID was we're listing on Wednesdays, absolutely no showings until Saturdays. And that Saturday showing time was from 11 to 4. And I was going to give you the greatest customer service experience at an open house that you've ever had. And I set a standard for open houses, even as far as the type of drinks to have and the type of balloons to buy and where to put them. And we bought signs, and we gave you a full marketing plan. We have an open house checklist with an open house training as far as what you're supposed to do. We believe in it. We've done it, and it works. 9 times out of 10, my houses were selling that weekend. Why? Because I was creating a relationship with the customer. I was building their lifestyle. I was letting them know. I was giving them a presentation, a tour, like I did at New Home Sales, right? And I was creating that experience at an open house. So I was doing this before COVID, 2014, 2016, maybe 5-10 years before COVID. That is what I've done. It was my secret sauce. It's what I did at listing appointments to beat you guys at listings. Really. I would set the expectation, and customers and consumers felt that it was like the greatest thing ever, and I would win the listing over. I did that before COVID. And what happened during COVID? Everyone did that exact same thing. Right now, we just learned about the new TREC guideline that got implemented, right? You have to help with their new first 3 transactions or their until you feel competent. That's something that we've done easily. I mean, Giovanni, how long have you been with me? And I handled your first transactions.
Yeah.
It's something that I've done for a long time. I'm not going to let you ruin my reputation for your ego. And honestly, if you have too big of an ego or you're too prideful and you don't want to let somebody else list, I'm not going to take extra money. I'll, as a matter of fact, I'll transfer that closing to your name when it's done so you can get the recognition on our. I just need to be able to handle the communication and make sure that the customer is being represented properly. So I have very small standards, and I'm very flexible, and I'm willing to help you learn and grow, right? But I want to handle that for you so you have a higher probability of success. And now the Texas Real Estate Commission is siding with us 10 years later.
Yeah.
And everyone thought I was crazy when I was doing it. Everyone thought we were crazy. So it's good to know that we have a good pulse on the market and we know where things are going way before they happen.
So 7 years ago, we went into the McAllen real estate market, RGV real estate market, and it was a Wild Wild West down there. And I said, we're not going to do this. There was 1% commissions. There was all kinds of crazy stuff. I told all my realtors, you're going to do buyer's reps, and you're going to you're going to charge 4%, 5%, whatever you want to charge. It's you. You're the buyer's representative. You get the sign. And people thought that my realtors. I started with one realtor, okay. I turned into 3, and people thought they were crazy. Nobody's going to do that. Nobody's going to do that. They dominated. They dominated. And not only that, when the NAR settlement happened and everybody had to give buyer's reps, my people had already been doing it for years. Yeah. And they were not worried about it. There was people there crying, trying to wondering what they were going to do. Brokers wondering what they were going to do, Yeah. And Vic says right now, he says, I think, I invented this. This was my plan. Do you have the receipts?
Absolutely.
You have it in writing.
Yeah.
You have it.
Yeah.
I mean, so, and once again, try us, go back and look at our when we started our podcast, go back and look at my Instagram and Vic's Instagram videos where we were saying things and people thought that we were crazy. Yeah. I mean, everything that I have said has come to be. Bro,
the craziest thing, I wish I could have recorded that. Like, I wish the meta glasses were out during COVID when I had that standard before COVID, right? So when COVID popped off, you know how excited I was for COVID? You know how excited I was during COVID that I was saying, I was like, guys, like we're prepared for this. We're listing on Wednesdays, no showings until Saturdays, and we could schedule appointments. I made people stand in line. Like I seriously, like I know everyone did it, but why it felt good and why it felt like I had to win is because I literally feel like I started that. I made people stand in line outside and I had them schedule out their slots. I was able to capture their information from Microsoft Forms. And I didn't want their realtor's information. I wanted the buyer information. They couldn't list their realtor if they wanted to, but I was already capturing buyer information. And I was able to retarget those realtors and those home sellers after. I was taking full advantage of the market. The preparations that we had made 5 years before that, I was able to take full advantage of the COVID market because I was prepared. So when I was going in there, what happened during COVID? You don't want to be around a lot of people, right? So everyone had to have 5 feet. Everybody was 5-6 feet away from each other. So when I brought in them and we had the face mask, we had the gloves, what was I doing? I had a one-on-one with your client. And I asked your realtor to step outside. Hey, let me take them on a tour. This is my listing. I'm going to show it to them. You wait outside for me and I'd go in there. So I had the client one-on-one by myself. And I was able to walk them through the property. And I was able to sell it to them and explain to them how to do it. And I would get multiple offers and high over waving appraisals and all kinds of things because prices, interest rates were at 3%. I mean, man, if I can just tell you the feelings that I had during that time, I mean, it felt like something, like I had finally done something right for once in my life. I can honestly say it felt like I did the right thing.
And we're going back to those times too, because even now at open houses, we're getting a lot of buyers walking in, even though they do have a realtor, but for whatever reason, the realtor went back to a day job or whatever it may be, or they just, they feel like it's hopeless and they're not showing their clients, they're not paying attention to their clients. We have a bunch of clients just walking in to open houses right now. So it's the same thing, same, guidelines. They still fall under that. And going back to what you've always taught us, like we just apply it. It's a different market, but the same principles are applied to that market now. Jerry, what are you seeing out there?
No, I think with the Lionsgate Realty, just so much experience that's, from Nate and Vic that, it's really putting us ahead in the game. Like you said, buyer representation and all this other stuff. Now when you're getting, new leaders during COVID, they haven't experienced, what Nate and Vic, experienced all this time. So they're pretty much trying to catch up and trying to, run with those big dogs that, they're just kind of just tripping over themselves when, we're just already been prepared with all that storm coming in.
Yep, and we're looking already at the future. We already know we know what's coming down.
Yeah, and the thing is like you don't have to constantly guess about the future. If you're working in the market, you know where things are going. Which goes back to the original topic here about how you stand out from being an average realtor. I'll give you another example of how we're so involved into the market. We know where things are going. We were looking at social media, and Giovanni and I would spitball strategies with Nate, and we'd send each other inspiration all the time and things that like we saw coming or things that we liked and trends that we thought were going to catch. And there was a lot of things that we thought that were going to hit that never hit, and a lot of different, there's a lot of trial and error, right? But one thing that I tell you, and this had its time as well, so it's not really that big of a flex, but I recorded a very disrespectful video on one of these foreclosures. I did. When social media, a couple years ago, and I would say before everyone started talking, check out my BBL house or whatever, and they're just, it has a small ass kitchen, and they're cussing and saying this, that, and the other, and the listings. And I know you guys have seen the videos, and so those videos, I did a very disrespectful one at the foreclosure one. And I just didn't have the heart to do it. I just felt that's not what I'm about, and that's not what I want my company to be represented as. As the president of the company, leader here, I'm not willing to put myself out there. If one of my agents, would do that, and if it's their personality and they're willing to build their business that way, that's up to them. But I've worked too hard, and I just didn't want to stoop down that low. But you saw it. These videos, they started disrespecting houses, being real about them, and those videos went off. And people, I love them and I like them. I didn't take that path, and that is a testament to things that we do here. There's paths that I'm not willing to take. I'm not willing to like sway one way or the other. I have morals, and I am a man, and I'm a family man, and I want to make sure that I stay in that lane as best as I can. Right. So it's important to see that even though where things are going, it might not be for you, and that's okay. You have to have the strength to walk away from those things.
Yeah, everything's not for everyone. That's for sure. I get agents all the time they'll bring me like a marketing idea, and I'm like, okay, well, I mean, is that who you are? because you can only keep up that facade for so long, right? Either one, you're not going to get the clientele because they're going to be able to smell it right away that that's not who you are, or two, you will get that clientele and then you're like, dang, like this is not even the people that I know how to sell to or that I want to sell to my client base. So it's like you really have to be honest with yourself, and that's definitely one of the first things that we teach within like the first 3 weeks of your training, Vic, is for these agents to actually pay attention to who they want to be, who their clientele is, who is the avatar that they're speaking to. So it is something that we teach here as well. Do you guys have anything else you want to bring up? No, if not, I think we can close off here. I think this was sweet and short and straight to the point. Vic, I know that we're hiring, so if you want to go ahead and let everybody know where to find you.
My name is Victorino Cortez. I'm the president here at Lionsgate Realty. We are recruiting, we are hiring, we are hoping to grow. You can find me on Instagram, Real Presidente, and look forward to hearing from you.
Jerry with Lionsgate Realty. Find me on all social media. That's Jerry HCX Realtor.
And my name is Nathan Valderas. I am the master broker for Lionsgate Realty. And you can find me on all my social media outlets at Better Call Nate.
And I am Giovanni Frank here, your gracious host at the HBR podcast. You can find us on YouTube every single Thursday. And yes, that training class, that series, that playlist that we're going to have is going to be on this channel. So make sure you subscribe so you can get those videos as soon as Vic uploads them. And till next time.